Cold Cases from Alternate Timelines That Don't Exist Here, Volume 1. Here are 9 famous cold cases known from alternate timelines that don't exist here. Case 1. The Glass Lake Killings. Timeline Echo 14A. Name: Eleanor Bran, an amateur mystery author. Date: 1972 to 1978. Location: Vermont. Overview: Eleanor was found murdered near a lake covered in fractured ice. Over the next 6 years, 6 other mystery writers were killed the same way across North America. Theory: believed to be a rival novelist who considered their ideas stolen. Status: never caught. No Earth Prime counterpart. Eleanor never existed here. Timeline Echo 14A. Case: The Glass Lake Killings. Eleanor Bran and others. Divergence point: 1945. Post-World War II America encourages female authorship as a patriotic duty, leading to a boom in women's mystery literature. Key: alternate history markers. By the 1950s, women's crime fiction dominated bestseller charts. Eleanor Bran became one of the first female detective authors to receive national awards, albeit posthumously. Mystery fiction festivals were held yearly in Vermont and British Columbia. Cultural impact of the murders: Eleanor's body was found under a frozen lake, her typewriter keys lodged in her throat. Over 6 years, 6 other authors, all mystery writers, were killed the same way. Case 2. Leonardo DiCaprio, Titanic Curse Disappearance. Timeline: Beta 44. Date: 1999. Victim: Leonardo DiCaprio, 24. Overview: after the explosive success of Titanic in 1997, DiCaprio became increasingly withdrawn. He gave one final interview in 1998, stating he had the same drowning dream every night and feared something went too deep. He disappeared during a solo sailing trip off the coast of Nova Scotia. His boat was recovered intact, radio dead, logbook half-burned. Vault Insight suggests a spontaneous delusional break followed by accidental drowning, though others claim he was taken back by the dream. Timeline: Beta 44, Divergence Point, 1996. Director James Cameron, heavily influenced by a near-death diving experience during filming, restructured Titanic to include surreal metaphysical sequences exploring death as a liminal ocean. The altered film featured ethereal underwater visions, time distortions, and whispers from the wreck itself. Cultural shifts. The film became not just a hit, but a cult spiritual experience. Viewers reported shared dreams, maritime visions, and ocean-related anxiety. Titanic Syndrome entered psychology journals in 1998 to describe a mass wave of water-based dream disturbances. Aftermath of Leo's disappearance. Leonardo's vanishing became known as the Titanic Curse. Fans left notes at coastal cliffs and built shrines from driftwood and film reels. His final recorded journal entry reads, "I think I left a part of myself down there. I need to know if it remembers me." In 2025, Beta 44 is a world where Titanic is studied like an occult relic. Film analysis is part of dream therapy training. A leaked cut of the film's original ocean memory scene circulates as a digital talisman. DiCaprio is revered, not as a lost actor, but as a symbolic martyr of the deep unfinished. Case 3. The Shimmer Lake Campground Triple Homicide. Timeline: Cinderline 44. Date: August 1996. Location: Oregon. Victims: Dana Craig, 19. Ivy Solomon, 18. Marcus Dell, 20. Overview: 3 friends on a camping trip vanished after being seen by a ranger near dusk. Their tents were found slashed, car intact, no valuables taken. Key theory: the trio stumbled upon a meth lab on public land run by former militias. Vault outcome: confirmed. They were executed after being mistaken for undercover agents. Perpetrators: never caught in that timeline. No equivalent case here. But Dana and Ivy exist here, alive, unrelated lives. Timeline: Cinderline 44. Major divergence point: 1993. Anti-government militia activity increases post-Waco, but is less successfully prosecuted. The Ruby Ridge fallout causes a mass decentralization of armed groups who move into national parks and BLM lands. Key cultural shifts: Oregon and parts of the Pacific Northwest become low-level insurgency zones, not outright war zones, but regions of civilian disengagement, where law enforcement avoids certain forest territories. Ranger stations are lightly manned. Many areas are designated wild gray zones. Case 4: the Bossier Motel vanishing. Timeline: Delta 37. Date: November 1984. Victim: Trent Halden, 32. Traveling salesman. Overview: checked into a roadside motel in Bossier City, Louisiana. Last seen speaking with an unidentified woman at the ice machine. Room was later found locked from the inside. Key detail: his shoes were found on the bed. A trail of mud led to the bathroom mirror, then stopped. Vault finding: the woman was a known interstate con artist, poisoned him and escaped via a hidden access panel behind the mirror. His body was buried beneath a septic field behind the property. Case never existed here, but the woman did, under a different name. Timeline: Delta 37. Major divergence point: 1978. A string of motel deaths, 5 between 1975-78, go unsolved, leading to the rise of a hotel haunting panic. Cultural and forensic shifts: by the 1980s, roadside motels in southern states adopt mandatory guest background checks. Privacy laws are rewritten to allow periodic room surveillance checks by security, not police. The public becomes obsessed with the vanishing room genre. Pulp thrillers and true crime accounts of locked-door disappearances. Case 5: the Odessa birthday disappearance. Timeline: Brightwell 82. Date: March 1991. Victim: Carly Mendez, 6. Overview: vanished during her birthday party in the backyard. Guests believed she had gone inside. Her cake remained untouched. Immediate theory: neighborhood predator. Vault reality: taken by a yard worker who had worked the property 3 times previously. He lured her into the side shed. Body buried 3 miles away in a levee basin. He was never charged. Died in 2002. Carly never existed in our timeline, but her father does. Timeline: Brightwell 82. Major divergence point: 1989. Following a series of child disappearances in Florida, the U.S. Department of Public Memory is formed, a government agency that tracks emotional trauma clusters and event recurrence hotspots. Cultural infrastructure changes. Texas adopts a child presence verification law for events involving more than 5 children. Every home with a registered party or playdate receives a child gate tag, a symbolic wrist-worn charm containing GPS microdata and emergency recall tone. Case 6. The photographer's last subject. Timeline: Echo Retain 3. Date: September 1978. Victim: Sasha Ling, 25. Overview: an aspiring model, last seen being photographed by a portfolio specialist in San Francisco. Her final shoot included her posing in front of a derelict warehouse. Clue: one roll of film was missing. Vault findings: the photographer was part of a trafficking ring. Sasha was sold to a group operating out of Tijuana. She died of illness in 1981. Her passport was used for another girl. No direct Earth Prime equivalent, though a similar ring was broken up here in 1982. Timeline: Echo Retain 3. Divergence point. Macro: 1975. Federal Oversight Reduction Act, FORA, passed after a backlash against Watergate-era federal power. This act severely reduced interagency cooperation between FBI, DEA, and INS. The result was a fractured intelligence environment where human trafficking groups found it easy to move people across state and international borders undetected. Cultural shift. By 1977, a disturbing art fashion movement called Decay Vogue became popular, merging haute couture with derelict urban decay. Case 7. The Gray Sweater Witness. Timeline: Parallel Civic 16. Date: April 1993. Victim: Robin Cayley, 14. Overview: saw something she wasn't supposed to. A local official taking bribes from a known violent contractor. Timeline of disappearance: vanished 72 hours after telling a friend at school. Vault clue: her gray sweater was used as a gag. Found 6 years later in a landfill. Body unrecovered. Case cold. Her name still circulates in that timeline's youth advocacy circles. She never existed here, but her story echoes through other cases of silenced witnesses. Timeline overview: the world of Parallel Civic 16. It's not a dystopia. It's a bureaucracy so big it forgets what it's covering up. Major point of divergence. Primary shift occurred in 1987 when a multi-state corruption probe into infrastructure embezzlement was silently halted by executive order. Unlike in our world, where many such cases exploded publicly, e.g., Operation Greylord, savings and loan scandals, in Civic 16, they were buried beneath layers of reshuffled funding and legal fog. This single act triggered a cascade. Local governments grew more secretive. Record-keeping became fragmented. Civic journalism shrank rapidly after a wave of targeted corporate acquisitions. As a result, whistleblowers and witnesses began to vanish, not because of a secret police, but because the machine of forgetting grew too efficient. No major scandals make national news, not because they don't happen, but because they're legally unresolved. True crime documentaries exist, but are neutered. Names redacted, timelines altered, emotions downplayed. Cable news exists, but runs on sponsored civics. Headlines like, Citywide audit ends in praise for filing system. A shortwave radio movement emerged in the late 90s where ex-reporters passed tips in code through traffic reports. True crime zines were illegal in 8 states until 2004. Case 8. The Nightroom Confession. Timeline. Rust Signal 15. Date: October 2013. Victim: James Dwyer, 34. Overview. Bar regular. Went missing after last being seen at a night room, an underground speakeasy popular among low-level city employees. Clue. Bartender recalled him saying, "If this ends up with me missing, tell my brother he was right." Vault truth. He discovered that a city water testing lab was faking safety reports. 2 employees lured him out, staged an OD, dumped him in a drainage canal. Coroner was bribed to list unknown male. Case stayed buried. Here, Dwyer does exist, but never uncovered anything, lived quietly. Timeline overview. Rust Signal 15. Divergence point, macro. 2006, Clean Flow Act repeal, CFAR. After a populist push against what was called regulatory strangulation, multiple U.S. cities were granted autonomous water quality control, severing EPA oversight. This led to widespread falsification of lab results in economically desperate cities. City engineers and water quality labs became minor organized crime outposts, falsifying reports for cash and political favors. Night rooms are unregistered, underground bars, often frequented by sanitation, zoning, and city maintenance employees. They're dimly lit, windowless, and often double as whistleblower confession zones. But in Rust Signal 15, many became surveillance traps for suppressing dissent. Case 9. The Blue Light Vanishings. Timeline. Lambda 61. Period. 1970 to 1990. Victims: 11 children ages 6 through 12. Pattern: always disappeared within 72 hours of seeing a strange pulsing blue light in the sky. Reported by parents or siblings. Key detail: each child left behind a drawing of the same spiral gate, later confirmed as matching an unknown glyph in an unearthed UAP wreck. Vault insight: some were taken, some followed, some returned, changed. No equivalent case in Earth Prime. Closest parallel: bits of the Zodiac, missing 411, and Skinwalker Ranch lore, but never converged here. Timeline. Lambda 61. Major divergence point. 1957. A widely reported UFO encounter near Boise, Idaho, led to public acknowledgement of UAPs. By 1962, the U.S. had declassified Project Silent Orbit. Key alternate history markers. In 1965, the Air Force confirmed the existence of atmospheric anomalies linked to unknown aerial vehicles. Rather than suppress public inquiry, the U.S. began funding phenomenological trauma response units, blending science, psychic research, and indigenous knowledge systems. By the 1970s, some schools had entire sky alert protocols, teaching children how to draw symbols, keep field journals, and report contact dreams. There's a permanent blue spiral gate monument in Utah, where parents leave drawings and memory tokens. The spiral sigil has become a public symbol of hope, carved on children's playgrounds, used in trauma therapy, even found in government logos for interphenomenological research. The Kincardine Glyph Event. Location: near Kincardine, Ontario, Canada. Date of crash recovery: March 14, 1976. Event overview: a fishing vessel in Lake Huron reported a sudden magnetic storm and sky glow phenomenon. A massive blue, soundless impact occurred near the lake's southern ridge. By morning, a fragmented hull was recovered by Canadian military divers. Officially, it was declared part of a weather monitoring drone. It wasn't. Artifact description from Vault Echo Leaks. Material: a metallic lattice alloy of unknown synthesis, polished like obsidian, yet unfathomably light. Interior: hints of hexagonal compression wells and fluid light tracing systems, similar to vascular or neural networks. Carved on the outer curve, a spiral sigil, 8 inches in diameter, deeply etched but without tool markings. The spiral glyph matches exactly the drawings left behind by children in the blue light vanishings between 1970 to 1990. Case 10. The Hollow Field Girl. Timeline: Omega 76b. Date: October 1987. Victim: Tamsin Rel, 13. Overview: during a rural school harvest ritual known as the Lantern Run, Tamsin vanished without a sound. Her shoes were discovered in a perfect spiral at the center of a wheat field. Despite a massive search, she remained missing for 3 years. When found, she was alive, but non-verbal, her skin marked with chalk glyphs. Vault records confirm she was taken by a fringe cult that believed in harvesting thin places between worlds. Timeline: Omega 76b. Major divergence point: 1964. Britain began reintegrating ancient seasonal rites into public education. The UK preserved and actively celebrated its seasonal pagan rituals, especially in rural counties like Somerset. Pagan traditions like the Lantern Run were revived as part of a national curriculum rooted in folk psychology. The Lantern Run became a state-endorsed school tradition, rooted in ancient harvest passage beliefs. Post-1960s, spirit-based pedagogy, loosely tied to Jungian psychology plus folklore, was adopted in many UK classrooms. Cultural shifts: folklore, dream symbolism, and emotional intuition became central to UK pedagogy. Margaret Thatcher was never elected. Instead, a moderate spiritualist named Clement Reid held office through much of the 1980s, softening the neoliberal push and redirecting resources to emotional infrastructure rather than austerity. Aftermath of the Tamsin case. Her recovery was seen as miraculous. She later became a spiritual author and trauma guide. Her novel, The Spaces Between Fields, is now required reading in therapeutic programs. In 2025, England in Omega 76b is soft, green, and introspective, dotted with lantern houses that blend healing, schooling, and dream work. Field geometry is used in search parties. Spiral paths in crops are respected, not trampled.